Hello everyone. Hi. Hi there. How are you doing? And the stream should be running. I think, I hope. I don't know. You tell me. Okay, gotta pop up the chat real quick. First of all, hi. Second of all, of course, Christina Reynolds, or more, you know, the English pronunciation, Christina Reynolds. Thanks for having become a channel member, because that is awesome. Thank you very much. And welcome to the team. And der Rockshop. Hi. Moin, was geht? Was geht? Na? Alles fresh? Benjamin Landon, hi. How are you doing? Greetings, everyone. And welcome to the last stream of the universe. No, of this year, actually, but, you know, maybe it's gonna be the end of the universe, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe you know. I don't hope so, because there's still much more to experience and to do, I think. So, we'll see about that. Anyway, Coding Beast, hi. Gonna have to move the chat here, I think. And Carl Creighton. Hi, with a hand pink waving, it says when I hover over the icon. Hi. Hey everybody. I guess I'm a few minutes late because I have, you know, I was kind of struggling in fighting with a wine bottle that didn't want to open, you know, the cork basically didn't want to work according to plan, you know. And but in the end, you know, I was successful. I beat it, and therefore, we can cling glasses. No, it's not the new year already, but it's the old year. So, Prost to the old year, to 2022, at least to the good things, of course. There are many bad things that happened this year. And that brings me to this topic, to this very live stream here, because it's my personal end-of-year recap stream. It's not an overall general end-of-year recap stream, so I'm not gonna tackle what happened in the world. I'm not gonna tackle that. That is not the point of this. Of course, we all know that many not so good things happened and still are happening. But I want to focus on the positive things. I want to focus on what I experienced. And of course, I also want to hear what you experienced, you know, the cool things that you experienced this year, to spread some good vibes in dark times, I guess. That is basically the purpose of this stream and the channel overall, spreading the good vibes and not the bad ones, because there is enough bad stuff out there already, I think. Cas Noel, I think it is. Hi. Hello, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. Yes, I had. Thank you very much for asking. Karl Herring, Prost. And of course also to Mirotaya, hi. Great to see you again. I'm doing very well, thank you very much for asking. Basically celebrating my last full day of the year, you know, at home, because tomorrow I'm gonna drive over to friends of mine, and on Saturday we're gonna celebrate into the new year together. Verene, or Vereen, I think it is. Hi, welcome. Just popping by to say thanks for all Rammstein videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much for saying that, Vereen. That is greatly appreciated. I'm glad you like the videos, and they can be of help, I guess, and entertain as well, to some degree at least, I hope. So that is really cool. Thanks for saying that. It really means a lot. Cheers to all you guys for the support, for watching my videos this year. And, you know, also, of course, a special cheers, Prost to Christina Reynolds once again. I don't know if you guys can see it in the chat, but in my chat it says, Willkommen bei Level Nummer 3. She actually became a channel member a couple of days ago, I think. So this is to you, Christina, and to all the other channel members and patron supporters and viewers in general. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Prost. Yeah. It's been a while since I've actually drank red wine, but I felt, you know, it fits the occasion, I guess. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna open the bottle and I'm gonna do it. I also have a tea with me with some ginger in there. Also very, very yummy. So I may be like cross drinking because this is still hot, or like warm at least. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for the icons and posting them, Carl Creighton. Highly appreciate it as well, of course. So, as the title suggests, this is my personal end of year recap stream, and I want to focus on a few interesting things that happened to me that I experienced this year. And some of them you actually also became a part of by watching the videos, the related videos. For instance, of course, the Rammstein album Zeit was released, their 8th album, which I think is a great album. It is one of the more thought-provoking albums by them, and I'm really, really glad that I also did a first listen reaction to the album as a whole, like an album listening party on this channel with you guys, because that way we could both experience the album for the first time together, synced up, basically synchronized. That was much fun. I want to do something like that again soon with other albums that have already been released, and maybe also other albums that are going to be released. So, for instance, next year, I don't know if you've heard of that yet, but I'm sure, or I'm almost certain, let me put it this way, that are gonna release another new album. Excuse me. The first one with their new singer, who's yet to be announced, and the first one without Dero Goy, their previous singer, whose voice I like quite a lot actually, and his tonal rich quality, his timbre and everything. So I'm gonna, I'm already excited. Who's it gonna be? Will it be someone who is well known? Will it be someone who we don't know at all? Maybe. Will it be me? Will it be you? Maybe it will be Super Flash Crash, who's gonna be the new singer, the vocalist, the new one, or maybe der Rockshop, or maybe other people out there. Perfektes Programm nach fertiger Schnittarbeit. Moin, ja, freut mich sehr, dass du einschaltest, Rick. Was geht? Ich hab übrigens auf dem Schirm, dass du mir eine Sprachnachricht geschrieben hast. Ich bin nur noch nicht dazu gekommen, mir die anzuhören. I'm sorry. But werde ich machen. Bist du noch zu Hause oder bist du schon abgefahren? Ich meine, du bist sowieso abgefahren. Ist ja klar, ne? Some German thrown in there. Because Super Flash Crash and der Rockshop, the two mods here today are Germans, so would be strange. There was some ambulances going strong there. It would be weird to actually speak English to them, like talk in English. But maybe we should do that as well at some point. But I guess it could actually also be interesting for you guys, because you may be able to catch up certain words that you've learned and stuff like that. So let's see. Chris Vogler. Hi, Chris. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the heart. Or is it an ice? Ice cream? Maybe it's both. Maybe it means ice cream is love. Ice cream is life. Who knows? I do. I like ice cream a lot. Mirotaya asks, do you remember when I told you my favorite Rammstein songs on the last stream? Did you notice my message? Just keep up the good work. What do you mean with your message? Did you write a comment? I don't know. Actually, your first pronunciation of my name was right. I'm Norwegian, not American. Verene. That would be a very German pronunciation as well, by the way. Verene. Because, the Americanized version would be Verene, which also has some nice ring to it. But Verene, of course, Yep. In German, we actually it's like rather slightly older women, I guess, up to this point. But some of them are called Irene, with an I in front, Irene. Or Verena, with an A at the end. That is also quite common still. So yeah. Wir alle lieben Deutsch, most definitely. Most definitely. I see what you did there. And Chris agrees, that's cool. I appreciate that. Ich schreibe eine ganze Nachricht, worauf dann nur ein Emoji geschickt wird. Alles klar, YouTube. Oh nö. Das tut mir leid, Rick. Ich habe mich schon gewundert. Ich meine, kannst ja auch mit Emojis schreiben. Die Frage ist dann nur, ob man immer versteht, was du meinst. Ach ja. Also, by the way, a big shout out to Super Flash Crash and the Rock Shop, not just because they're awesome. And this year was the first time that I actually got to meet Der Rock Shop in person. And if you guys enjoy Rammstein content, you know, Rammstein song analysis, especially on the musical side of things, apart from me basically focusing on the lyrics, because I don't have a degree in music, and I can't really explain the different chords and meters and everything properly. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check out Der Rock Shop. You can find him here in the chat window with a little wrench next to his name, because he's one of the moderators, because he's cool. I mean, you guys are cool as well, but, you know, he's a fellow YouTuber, YouTube mate of mine, and a bro, basically. And this year, even though we've known each other since 2019, when Rammstein dropped their second-to-last album, their self-titled/untitled album, I got to know him through that and through his YouTube videos about Deutschland, the song, and that album. And we've talked back and forth. We've even recorded a few Rammstein challenges. You can find them on my channel and on his channel as well. But anyway, if you're interested in musical analysis, what's the plural of analysis? Is it analysis and stuff like that? Check out his channel, Der Rock Shop. And of course, Super Flash Crash, he's also a very dear friend of mine. We've known each other since 12-ish, and we've become closer friends, I would say, in 2014, 2015, maybe around that time. And ever since then, he's been an awesome dude. I love him as well, you know. I'm glad to have him as a friend, as well as the Rock Shop, of course, and everyone. All my YouTube friends and everyone. Analysis. And he's helped me with many things as well, including, technological advice, including creating banners and other graphics and, that kind of stuff. He's just awesome. He's also a live streamer on Twitch, a former speedrunner, yes. And someone like a YouTuber, basically. And he's cool. Ich fahre erst am 31. dafür aber dann schon um 8 Uhr. Oh, so früh. Krass. I wrote you in the chat that my favorite Rammstein songs are Engel, Weidmanns Heil, Amerika, Du hast ein Lied and Roter Sand. I think... Didn't I read that last time? If not, I'm sorry. And of course... don't worry if I, accidentally overlooked one of your messages. Feel free to just write them again. That's no problem. As long as you don't spam, of course. But that is a great selection of songs, definitely. I mean, Engel has been the doorway, or, the way into the Rammstein realm for many people back in the day, I think. Weidmanns Heil is one of my favorite songs of Liebe ist für alle da, definitely. I'm sorry, definitely. There was also a big change this year, because I changed the channel name from German with Vlogdave, or just Vlogdave, to Definitely in mid-September. And that was a big step for me personally. I mean, on the surface, it just looks like, okay, you've just changed the name of the channel and that's it. But in the background of things, you also have to consider that I had to change my socials, the links to those. I had to change over 800 plus video descriptions and the links in those and information and everything. And I don't want to complain, don't get me wrong. I knew that was coming to me when I actually changed the channel name, and I finally decided to do it because I actually thought about doing that, or I had thought about doing that for many years actually, on and off. And yeah, then I finally did it, and I feel great about it, to be honest. Hope you dig the name as well. And of course, it also works as a little pun, little word play. Definitely. But also in German, actually. Definitiv, you know. Anyway, Amerika, one of my favorite songs of Reise Reise, Du hast, is an evergreen, of course. Ein Lied is a song that I'm not too particularly fond of, to be honest. Isn't that one on Rosenrot? I think so, right? Or is it? Maybe I'm confusing things here. Anyway, and Roter Sand, yes, that's also great song, definitely. I will be sure to check out your channel out. Do that, Coding Beast. You won't be disappointed if you're interested in those topics. And he knows what he's talking about. Like Der Rockshop, aka Pascal, he's a true expert when it comes to the field of, you know, music. Anyway, talking about music, maybe that is a good segue into my list that I wrote with things that I want to talk about, I would like to tackle in this end of year recap stream. Where is it? There it is. Okay, looking at my second screen here, because I actually made a list of a few things that I want to mention. And I'm going to start with something that is very dear and close to my heart. As you guys may know, if you've watched some other live streams of mine and videos in which I mentioned that. Music. I couldn't live without music. Music is basically my biggest passion in life. Therefore, I listen to it quite often. In fact, I listen to it daily, on a daily basis, and many different styles, and I just love it. And also finding out new music, because there are many people, I think, at a certain age in their lives, and be it as well like 31, you know, my age. What's my age again? 31. I guess many people, certain, like in a, or how should I put it? At a certain period of your life, I guess, many people stop listening to newer music or music that comes out, and they primarily listen to music that they already know, that they are really familiar with from the past. And nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. However, I'm still one, you know, I'm still some guy, a person that really enjoys finding out new music as well. Also by bands that I already know, but also new artists and everyone. For instance, a couple of days ago, I found out about Agnes Nobel. She's a great singer-songwriter, I think from Denmark, if I'm not mistaken. And this year was pretty strong in terms of albums that I really, really like. You know, of different genres, and I want to talk about them real quick. But first of all, of course, Clefan 8, hi! Thanks for watching, and thanks for tuning in, of course. I really love your German podcast. Are you ever going to do a German language video content here on this channel? I have actually made a few videos in the past, which are basically German listening practices, sort of. Just type in, you know, definitely, or go to my main channel page, and then you can, there you have a search bar, and there you can actually look for, you know, German listening practice, basically. I wouldn't rule it out, you know. I could definitely see myself also doing like pure German content every now and then on the channel. We'll see, you know, if it fits and if it works somehow also for you guys, because that's the thing. And I also addressed that in the previous stream. As much as I would like to have like more German-based content on the channel, like purely German without English in it, I'm I don't want to lose people, you know. I don't want to lose people that aren't as fluent in understanding or comprehending and hearing English yet. And because I want to be like a channel, I guess I'm mostly targeting intermediate, advanced learners, maybe also beginners, with my stuff, but we'll see, you know. That's the short answer, basically. Coding Beast, yes, he also does stuff about Rammstein, yes. I like picking up all the German casually. That's cool. Anyway, back to my top 10 albums of this year. And feel free to share yours as well. And if you know some of these albums, tell me what you think about them. Okay? So I'm gonna start with an album by a band that I really like a lot. I saw them live 2 times many years ago. And I think it's one of their stronger albums as of recently. The previous 2 albums, even though they are solid, I think, I wasn't the biggest fan of them per se. But this new album, for some reason, really, yeah, I like it better. It just got to me more. And I'm talking about Pawns and Kings by Alter Bridge. American rock or metal band. Great album. Really solid, modern, alternative metal, alternative rock, sort of in the vein of that. That would be my first one. And in no particular order. Like, that is not my top album of the year. It's one of the top 10 albums of the year for me personally. So these albums appear in no particular order. Next up, and I'm also going to be posting all those albums into the chat once I'm done talking about them in a minute. Next album I want to talk about and highlight, maybe how should I put it? A hidden gem for you guys. Especially for people that enjoy Crosby, Stills, Nash, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, like multi-layered harmony vocals, singer-songwriter, acoustic stuff. If you enjoy that, and you're up for something new as well, like I said before, check out DiVirgilio, Morse, and Jennings with their album Troika. It's their first album. It's basically a super group of progressive rock, progressive metal musicians from the modern scene. And this is a purely acoustic-based, as I've said before, singer-songwriter, harmony, vocal-ish album, which I love. Especially the song Julia, for instance, their first single, is phenomenal. One of my, even though it was released last year, it's also on this album, of course, and it's one of my first, like one of my most favorite songs, basically. Yeah. Also, a band that actually released 2 albums, not just one, but 2 albums, and basically 2 comeback albums with their, old/new guitarist John Frusciante. I'm talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and especially their album Unlimited Love, which I think is it's definitely on par with their most successful ones, and my favorite Red Hot Chili Pepper albums, which are Californication and, by the way, those 2 for the most part, but I like all of them. Anyway, Unlimited Love by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Or you know what? I'm gonna post the albums and the names of them after the first 5. Maybe let's do it this way. Next up, an album by an artist that I greatly admire for her vocal abilities, for her sound. Very angelic, very light, very ethereal in a way as well. The album is called Dance Fever. I actually did a live listening party and reacted to the album as a whole live with you on stream. And the artist is called Florence and the Machine. Florence and the Machine, if you don't know them, check them out. By the way, Tiffany, hi! Thanks for tuning in, and no problem. And I'm gonna close the first half of my top 10 albums of the year with another one, which arguably, if I had to pick like 1 or 2 albums that are my top favorite ones of this year, this one would be among them. Definitely. I think, to be honest, I think it's one of the strongest, like throughout, from start to finish, one of the strongest modern rock/metal albums in recent years. And I'm talking about a band that I saw live this year as well, but more about that later. I'm talking about Impera by the band Ghost. Great album as well. Really great. Let me see. Wow, great. Thanks, YouTube, for messing up my list a little bit. Wait a moment. Whoop. I'm gonna do it this way then. Sometimes the YouTube comments are a bit pain in the ass. Those are my first 5, like top 10 5 out of the top 10 albums. Let me put it this way, because that's the way it is. Then I'm gonna proceed on to an album by a very well acclaimed artist. It's one of his late works, maybe one of his last albums. Hopefully he will continue to put out much more great music in the future. But if it should be his last album, which we all don't hope, of course, I think it's one of his strongest albums also. And it's really like astonishingly heavy. You know, you wouldn't expect that from an old geezer, like an old person or older person like him, but it's really heavy. It's really heavy. Great production. I'm talking about Patient Number 9 by Ozzy Osbourne. Yes. Also a great album from start to finish, with many guest musicians on it as well. Yeah. Just like, you know, Degradation Trip, for instance. Also, the title track is awesome. Great chorus. Then a comeback album by a band that formerly was known as a trio, if I'm not mistaken, and now they are a duo. Only like the 2 of them are left. And they have a very distinct sound. You either like it or you don't. I don't think there's too much in the middle, which also has to do with his vocals. But I personally like them a lot, actually. And I'm talking about Never Let Me Go by Placebo. They released a new album, which also reminded me of a more, like, maybe rockish or more, like, rock-related version of Depeche Mode, in a way. It's quite electronic, actually. But it's, you know, it's fabulous, I think. Also many great songs on there. Beautiful James, for instance, is one that it comes to mind immediately. Great. And of course, as I've said before, if I had to choose like my top 2 or like top 3 albums out of those 10, this next one would definitely be in there as well. It's an album that 2 years ago I never would have thought would happen at all. And I guess no one would really have thought that back in the day. But it did. It finally did. After 13 years, this band released their comeback album, even though it wasn't really a comeback because they recorded this album over the span of 10 years without telling anyone, not even their management or close peers. No one knew. It was only them, the three of them, and it became a great album with many of their influences drawn from their solo careers and their other projects throughout these last 10 years. And you can definitely hear that. I think it's definitely a great album, especially also the bonus tracks. And I'm talking about the album Closure Continuation by Porcupine Tree, a band that you may not know from the name of them, but let me assure you, if you're into modern progressive music, progressive metal, progressive rock, art rock, you should definitely check them out because they are a staple of modern progressive music. It's simply like that, They have, even like in their absence throughout the last 10, 12-ish years, in which they didn't work at all, like on the surface, they worked secretively, as we've learned. They became even much more of a cult band, a cult act, basically. And yeah, I just love this album. I love it. Also, one of my highlights, definitely, I mentioned it before, Zeit by Rammstein. Definitely another strong album with many thought-provoking songs, as I've said before. Zeit being one of them, the title track, very philosophical, which basically deals with the idea of, time and memento mori. Remember that you're mortal, that you're gonna die. Carpe diem, make good use of the day, seize the day, all those tropes, and also some funnier songs on the surface, like Okay or Oka in this case, and Dicke Titten, of course. Yeah. But also some more, I guess you could interpret them more in a more political vein, if you wanted to. Armee der Tristen, Angst, a bit more serious. Xenophobia and being afraid, having a diffusing type of fear and being afraid of something unknown, but you know that you're afraid, but you don't know of what necessarily, in a more and more increasingly complex world. And definitely interesting topics on that album. Very zeitgenössisch, as we say in German, related to the present day and topics that we deal with at the moment. And last but not least, an album that may come as a surprise. But as I've said before, I listen to many different genres. I'm not limiting myself. To me, it's important if I like music or if I don't. And I don't really care too much about genre. It helps to classify and to explain the type of music or the style that a band is playing, of course, to someone who doesn't know the artist yet. But apart from that, when I listen to music, I don't really care too much if it's like rock or metal or if it's drum and bass, electronica, folktronica, folk music, pop music. I don't care. And even though she's one of the most prolific and popular artists of our times, doesn't mean that she is not able to release good music, because in fact she is, I think. And her new album, Midnights, is a testament to that as well. I'm talking about Taylor Swift. Yes. I actually like her music quite a lot. Anti-Hero, for instance, the single, I think is great. Very laid back in a way. Very much working with reverb as a stylistic device, Midnights by Taylor Swift. Definitely corrected myself there real quick this time. Definitely also one of my favorite albums of the year. There are a few more but I wanted to limit it down to 10 because otherwise it would have been too many, you know. Now, if you have listened to any of those albums also, you know, Chris Vogler, for instance, I think listened to at least 1 or 2 albums out of the ones that I mentioned. Feel free to tell me what you think of them, you know, because I am certainly interested in finding out your opinion on those as well. And as I've said before, there are many more songs and albums that I listened to this year. And if I wanted to talk about all of them, I would be here like for another 2 or 3 hours at a max, like, or yeah, maybe at least. Therefore, I decided to make a Spotify playlist with my favorite songs of 2022. If you are interested in finding out more of that, or if you want to have like a little source of inspiration in terms of new music that was released this year, yeah, feel free to use the playlist. This is the link to it. Maybe there's something new for you that you may enjoy as well, that you didn't know about yet. Yeah, that's basically it. And that leads me to another related topic, concerts that I attended this year. And let me tell you, after 2 years of, you know, not going to shows at all because of this freaking pandemic, and many shows that got delayed, you know, and rescheduled and everything. This year I went to like, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 concerts in total. And all of them were awesome, first and foremost. However, there are, you know, a few that I want to highlight as well. The first concert that I went to was a very, very small one. It was the first show that I went to after, you know, my last pre-pandemic concert, which was Opeth live in Cologne in November of 2019. John Diva and the Rockets of Love. I guess it's not a band that is that well known yet, you know, in columns. I think they're mainly known in Germany, even though they sort of pretend to be American. That's basically their thing, their shtick, you know. And they basically play like rockabilly, rock and roll inspired music and hair metal inspired music of the 80s, and also cover many of those great songs by Motley Crue, for instance, or Def Leppard, you know. And that was a very small show with like maybe 150, 200 people at a max. In a little club in my region. I went there with a coworker. And that was a great show, you know, very small, but that doesn't mean anything because, you know, as long as the music is great and the whole vibe, the atmosphere, I'm happy. And the first, you know, the first big, or let's say, I won't say proper concert because that was also a proper concert and a quite good one as well. But my first highlight of the year was my second concert that I went to. First of all, I'm gonna post the link or the name of the band into the chat as well if you want to check them out. And I'm talking about Ghost live in Cologne, and it was really infectious in an ambiguous way. I went there with my dad, and I actually met up with a friend of mine, dear Jule, Extra Jule, another YouTube friend of mine. We've known each other for many years now, and she's also a big Ghost fan. It was my first Ghost show ever, and I think it was her like second or third, at least. And we were standing in like third row, like basically center stage, a little bit to the right. It was a great position, and it was a great show. They, like Ghost from Sweden, they deliver a really cool show. I gotta say, one of my favorite concerts of the year, no doubt. The whole stage setup, and the performance in itself, the outfits that they wore, and the masks, of course, their whole stage personas, all of that, just well-rounded and well thought out. The sound was great. The performance was flawless. Just awesome. Very entertaining, yet also focused on the music. Great mixture. One of my top concerts of this year. Ghost live in Cologne in the mid of, when was it? April 19th, I think. And I actually mentioned that it was quite infectious, also in the literal sense of the word, because after that show, 3-ish days later, me and my dad basically simultaneously noticed that we had symptoms of COVID, and turned out that we caught COVID most definitely at that show. And I don't want to be understood as someone who downplays things, because I had 2 weeks of fun with that. But gotta be honest with you guys, that was the risk that we took. That is basically the risk that you take whenever you go to an event these days, or be it like a concert or a museum or whatever it is. That's basically the risk that you take when you go somewhere. Anyway, not just during a pandemic, but even more so when there is a pandemic. And so I was basically prepared for all eventualities. And yeah, we were positive after that show. However, and that is what I want to say, to me personally, and during that 2-week period full of not being able to smell nor taste anything, and having a running nose and the usual things, being very tired all the time basically, and don't worry though, I'm okay, and my dad is as well, so we don't have long COVID. It was worth it. That show, for what it was, I'm not sad that this happened. We just had to get through it. But the show itself was worth the experience. That is what I want to say with that. Once again, I don't want to downplay COVID in any way, shape, or form, in any capacity. But that's what it is, Then I went to a show, and that was the day that I finally met Der Rockshop, Pascal, for the first time in person, because we went to see Tool live in Cologne in May. And with us was Super Flash Crash as well, my dad as well. And we had a great day. It was a great show. We had seats way up in the arena. But that didn't take away from the ambiance, from the whole mood there, because Tool music is very much mood music. You have to be in the zone, in the mood to like it. Doesn't mean that you have to take drugs, because I don't, apart from maybe drinking something. Anima. Yeah, there was one dude after the show that was really hilarious. The whole show was over. And everyone was going out of the arena already, and he was a row above us, slightly to the left. And there was one dude, and he continued screaming for the song Anima, for the band to play the song Anima as an encore, even though they already played their encore and the show was over. Clearly, the lights went on and everything, so it was obvious that the show was over. But he kept screaming and shouting and everything, and he went, Anima, Enema, and then we shouted back at him, like, and I don't know what exactly we actually shouted back at him. Can't remember that, but he looked at us and he stopped for a second, and he was like, looked at us, and then he looked back to the stage and continued, Enema, and he, I don't know, maybe he's still shouting to this day, still there, you know, glued to the stadium, to the arena. Who knows what happened to him? Did Tool play Die Eier von Satan? No. We actually thought about that as well, that they could potentially play that because it's a song in German. By the way, I've also made a video about that, Tool, Die Eier von Satan, and what those lyrics actually mean. If you're interested in that, feel free to check that out on my channel. Just type in definitely, or go to my main channel page and then type into the search bar Tool, Die Eier von Satan. It's a fun song, definitely. But they didn't play that. No, in fact, they didn't. Genau, da muss noch mehr Begeisterung drin sein. Super Flash Crash actually shouted, you know, you gotta be more, you know, enthusiastic. You can, you know, you can be even more out there and give it all you got, you know. There's more in it. And yeah, we motivated him. We encouraged him, basically, to give his everything. And he did. Apparently he did. He did. Anyway, that was a great show. So was the next show that I went to, Die Ärzte. You may be familiar with that band. If not, they translate to The Doctors. The band name is The Doctors. And if you're interested in the German culture and also, you know, present culture in terms of German music, I highly recommend checking out Die Ärzte. If you're slightly interested in pop rock, you know, rock music, punk rock-ish music, alternative rock, check out Die Ärzte. They've been around since the early 80s, and with a little break of 5 years in between. But apart from that, they've released like 13 albums, I think, with both fun songs, hilarious songs, and also more serious, thought-provoking songs. So the bandwidth of the topics in those lyrics, they vary quite a lot, you know. That was my second time seeing them live. No, my third time actually, because I also saw them live at Rock am Ring. Also in Cologne. Sadly, in hindsight, you know, compared to all the other concerts that I attended this year, this was the one with the worst sound that I went to, because it was an open stadium and the sound basically, there was a lot of like echoing throughout the arena. Maybe it had to do with the shape of the arena. I guess it also had to do with the fact that it was an open arena, you know. Yeah, sadly not the best sound, but still a great show. 3 hours, which is basically like 2.5 to 3 hours is how long they play. First of all, because they have so many songs that they could potentially play. And secondly, because especially Farin Urlaub, the singer and guitarist, main singer, he talks quite a lot. He likes to talk in between songs, which is also funny and cool, you know. Anyway, still a great concert. And the next one, of course, one of my highlights. Never thought that I would see them live. And even like back in March of this year, I never thought about seeing them live anytime soon, because all their European tour dates were sold out, of course, because they are such a huge and well acclaimed and successful band. I'm talking about Rammstein. And I basically told the story how I still managed to get 2 tickets out of nowhere in my vlog about that show. I think it's titled What a Rammstein Show is Really Like, or something like that. You can find that. And you can also see some photos that I took and some video snippets from the show that I filmed. during that show. It was awesome. You know, it was really, really awesome. And I was extremely happy that I finally got to see them live after all these years, and how much they not just mean to me in a way, in a musical sense, but also how much of, you know, an important part they are of this channel, of course, and to you guys. So everything came full circle with that show, I guess. Guten Rutsch ins neue Jahr. Thank you very much, Bob Fognozzle. Hi. Hi, Bob. How are you doing? Same to you, of course. He said, Happy New Year in German. And yeah, that was also one of my highlights of this year. Next one was the Red Hot Chili Peppers in early July. Also in Cologne, in the same stadium that I went to see Die Ärzte. With a better sound this time. Maybe it also had to do with us being, you know, on the sides of the stage. Not the stage, but that would have been cool as well. But, you know, seated on the sides of the arena, you know, on the, how do you say? You know what I mean. Not, you know, in the infield, but around the arena, basically. We had 2 seats up there, and not the closest we've been to any of the stages this year, arguably quite the opposite, but still a great show. It was fun to see them live for the first time, and also with John Frusciante, whose guitar playing and singing, background singing, I highly, highly adore. So yeah. Then to a band that you may not know yet, but let me assure you they are great. And I not only say that because one of my dearest friends is in them, but because I truly think they have quite some sophisticated music to play. And if you enjoy progressive music, instrumental progressive music, or more specifically, instrumental progressive metal, with some jazzy influences maybe here and there, some rock influences, you know, all those things, check out Alternative Ways, because it's the band of Der Rockshop, whom I've mentioned before multiple times throughout the stream and anyway, and so on. He performed live with his band Alternative Ways for the first time ever this year in early September. And me and Super Flash Crash, we basically went down to Speyer, which is in South Germany, southern region of Germany, basically. And we hung out for a weekend there, and I also basically like functioned as a roadie of sorts, and I also filmed something for him, you know, for a vlog. You can also find that on his channel, Der Rockshop. And that was basically like a mini festival, if you will, because it was 3 bands playing there. And they were one of them. They were the headliners, basically, because they played last. And it was a great, great show. You know, I just dig live music. And when it's capable musicians playing that stuff, all the better, you know. So definitely a great, great show as well. If you want to see some impressions or you want to listen to them, feel free to check them out. And Pascal, feel free to check... Feel free to post some links to Spotify if you want to, and or the vlog from that concert. Second to last, in terms of concerts that I attended this year, Porcupine Tree. Yes, just mentioned them in early November. I went to see Porcupine Tree live with my dad in Oberhausen. And it was a concert that I waited to be able to see and to go to for like 13 years. Because it's a bit tragic when you think about it. I became a Porcupine Tree fan in 2009 with their album The Incident. I became a big fan of them, actually, and I discovered their whole discography and all their previous albums later on and throughout the years, and then also Steven Wilson's solo career up to this day. And I basically became a fan of the band when they were on the verge of going into an hiatus, you know, when they were about to stop, on the surface at least, you know, publicly, as we know now. And I was really sad because I didn't have the chance to see them live. And I was, that really, really made me sad because they actually became one of my favorite bands throughout the years and the months and days and weeks, and, you know. So last year, I think it was in early October, out of nowhere, the band, you know, after like 12-ish years of hiatus and doing nothing, basically, you know, having disbanded seemingly, if not officially, but seemingly. So they posted a few short, distorted snippets on their social media accounts, and nobody knew what was going on. And everyone thought, okay, maybe it's going to be like a best of or like greatest hits or box set or whatever, you know, but not new music, of course, because, you know, at that point, nobody actually thought, at least it felt to me like in the progressive rock community that I know a little bit, hardly anyone thought that they were actually ever going to do something again. So the surprise was really, really big when I think on November the 1st, they released their comeback song, Harridan. And I was blown away. Like, I think I even cried when I listened to that for the first time. And then they announced their comeback album, Closure Continuation. And it's written Closure/Continuation because they don't know yet what it will be. Will it be a closure for the band, their last album and their last tour? Or will it be a form of continuation for them in the future? And because they don't know, and because it could be, or could have been, because the tour is now over, it could have been potentially their last tour ever, I definitely wanted to see them live. And I think, you know, it felt like I was one of the first people that actually bought tickets when they when they went on sale. You know, I was really early and I didn't have to think about it, actually. I just bought them because, yeah, there are things in life that you don't really have to think about too much. Maybe you can relate. I don't know. And that is one of those. You know, concert tickets of artists that I really want to see. I'm just gonna buy the tickets right away. And even if I can't go to the concert out of time constraints, you know, or whatever, or sickness, you know, you can sell them at any time still, you know. But I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I hadn't bought the tickets and they would have been, you know, sold out quickly or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, Porcupine Tree, arguably also one of the most emotional shows for me personally. I also cried quite a few times during the show. Great concert. Can't wait to see the recording of their Amsterdam show soon-ish, at some point. They filmed that show for a Blu-ray. Yeah, I just love them. By the way, if you want to find out more about the band, you don't know them and you may be interested in finding out more about them, you can also listen to my The German Podcast episode about Porcupine Tree, if you want to. That is the title says it all, you know. It's a German podcast. It is the German Podcast. That's the name of the podcast. The German Podcast. Because it is a German podcast. It is me speaking German, talking about different things in German. Another topic each episode, you know. So a varied amount of topics, basically, including music every now and then, and specific artists, such as Porcupine Tree or Joni Mitchell, for instance. I made an episode about her. Rammstein, I made 2 episodes about them. One of them this year, by the way, with fellow podcaster made, and really cool person overall, Robin Meinert. His podcast, also the German podcast, is titled Auf Deutsch gesagt, said in German. And we talked about the new Rammstein album Zeit for like almost 2.5 hours, or maybe something like that, 2 hours. And we talked about each song. So it's basically a track talk. If you're interested in that, check out the German podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Basically, it should be available almost everywhere. That being said, one more concert to mention. Also a great show. And I'm lucky that I got to see them live with their current singer, Floor Jansen, who is really like one of the best female vocalists of our generation. And I'm not exaggerating, because she can do it all, She is classically trained. She can sing like lyrical singing, more operatic style singing, but also really harsh and raw and, raspy rock metal vocals, including growling, and also really soft and smooth, She can do it all. Very varied. And I'm talking about the band Nightwish. Yes. Was the third time that I saw them live, and the first time in 12-ish years. So yeah, that was awesome as well. That was in early December 1st, in fact. Also with my dad. And yeah, that was just cool. That was really, really cool as well. Now that I've talked about music, yeah, maybe I could also mention a few, let's see. There's one thing that I haven't really done this year that I usually do every now and then, and that is playing video games. For some reason, I don't know why exactly. Marco Seneca, hi! Thanks for asking, and thanks for tuning in. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. He actually asked how I'm doing in German. I hope you do great as well. You are great and everything. Cheers to you. But yeah, I haven't really played video games this year. With the exception of The Sims 4, because in the past 2 weeks-ish, I played a little bit The Sims 4, on and off. But apart from that, nothing, I'm still interested in video games. That's not the point. And I actually watched a few Let's Plays of games that were released this year. Especially one that I really enjoyed was Elden Ring, which may be my favorite game of the year from what I have seen, and from what I can tell. I saw a complete Let's Play of that by Carnage, one of my favorite YouTubers, content creators, live streamers from America. It's not a game that I would be interested in playing myself, honestly, because, I don't have the skill, first and foremost, because it's not the easiest of all games. And it takes quite a while to play it from start to finish, and I don't know if I want to spend the time to do that. You could argue, okay, you may have the time because you watched a complete Let's Play of that game. Okay, that's a point. But, yeah. I decided to watch the Let's Play of that, and I wasn't too sure at first if I were to like it as a game, because, I'm not too familiar with Dark Souls or Souls-like games. But after like 3-4-ish episodes of that Let's Play, I was hooked. I was intrigued. And if you are interested in games that are not really like story-driven, but more about the game mechanics and impressive sceneries, great boss, like enemy design, great game design in general. That was really intriguing. Yeah, you may enjoy Elden Ring as well. So that was definitely great stuff that I watched this year in terms of gaming content. Also, the Resident Evil 8, aka Resident Evil Village DLC Shadow of Rose, which I watched quite recently. It's not the longest DLC, but it really captures the mood of the original game, like the main game, and it adds some new mechanics as well. I don't want to reveal too much, because I don't want to spoil anyone. But quite entertaining as well. And I watched a beta of a game that is about to be released. I don't know when exactly. Soonish, I think. Maybe even next year. Not this year anymore, of course. But I could be wrong. The Outlast Trials. Yes. Very gory, very bloody. Like, not for the faint of heart. Be warned. But it's basically the prequel to the first Outlast game. And you can either play it as a single player or as a multiplayer. You can choose. And it's basically, more or less a trial situation, which the title already suggests. And from what I've seen, yeah, it's the typical Outlast atmosphere, even though to me it was much less scary, to be honest, because of this whole arena fight thingy going on, which isn't so scary to me, to be honest. But yeah, that is basically that. In terms of films, same thing. I really didn't watch too many films that were released this year. I wasn't really, I didn't went to the movies that often either, which is quite unusual for me usually as well, because I usually enjoy going to the movies quite often with my friends, but this year, I don't know, for some reason, didn't really happen too often. There's one movie that I watched that is highly divisive, I think, regarding Marvel fans, I guess. Some love it, some hate it. I quite like it, actually. It's a solid movie. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but it's like visually, it's very appealing, I think. And I'm talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I didn't watch WandaVision previously. I haven't really watched that yet. I haven't seen it yet. So I didn't know about her backstory, but you can still watch that movie even if you don't know too much about her, because she, and that's not a big spoiler, I don't think, she appears in the movie as well, plays a certain role. And of course, also I went to see Fantastic Beasts 3, the latest and maybe even the last movie in that anthology. We don't know yet. I don't think that they have planned to work on more movies at the moment, which I think is a pity, because the stuff itself is very interesting, but they somehow managed to fuck it up, with the exclusion of Johnny Depp. Also the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial did take place this year. Yeah, I don't know. I was a bit sad that he didn't continue as what's his name again? Forgot about it. The evil sorcerer. What's his name again? Anyway, you know who I mean. So yeah, it was an okay film. wasn't a masterpiece either. Doesn't have to be a masterpiece, you know. I try to go without any expectations I try to listen and or watch a new movie and new music without any expectations. And a free plate, basically. And most of the time I manage to do it. Grindelwald, thanks. That's the name, yeah. Grindelwalds Verbrechen. Grindelwald, yes. Very German sounding name, actually. By the way, the last part of that name, Grindelwald, the Wald, means forest in German, der Wald. So it's straight out like, it sounds like a name that is derived from German fairy tales, like from like 200 years ago. Grindelwald. Almost, you know. Sleepy Bubby 96, hi! Thanks for tuning in. Hi. That's cool to see you here again. Yeah, how are you doing? And thanks for asking. Or for wishing that I had a great year. And yes, for the most part, it was a pretty cool year. I can't believe we're almost at 2023. Yes, me neither. It's strange. It basically feels like as if we skipped the previous 2 years. To me, I don't know, because of the pandemic and everything. So, still feels strange. Don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel about it. It would be nice to make a YouTube video with you. I'm really jealous of you. You don't have to be jealous of me, but thanks. We'll see, you know. Maybe at some point next year, I won't promise anything, but maybe at some point I'm gonna have another meet and greet with you guys. Because I had a meet and greet together with Get Germanized, one of my dearest friends, in 2017, and that was cool. We met up with, I think, like 15, 16, 17-ish people in Cologne from all over the world, from Japan, from Spain, from Russia, from the US. It was such a clash of cultures, but all were there for the same reasons, you know, because they enjoy watching both me and Get Germanized. And that was really touching and really humbling, you know. So I definitely want to do something like that again at some point. We'll see. It's difficult to, you know, to make all the logistics work out for everyone, of course, because you can't please anyone. You can't please everyone because, you know, there's always going to be people that have to travel a little bit and, you know, have to look for accommodation and everything. So, yeah, that's the only downside to it. Maybe I should do a tour as well at some point. I don't know. But I would definitely like to, and I've mentioned that pretty much in every live stream, I guess, but it is what it is. I would really like to have a meet and greet in America at some point as well. And I would really like to go to America, you know, on vacation at some point in general, because I have never been there yet. We'll see. Yeah. I'm doing okay, thank you. Got to visit Berlin for the first time back in November. Awesome. Nice. I hope you enjoyed it. I would really like to go back to Berlin as well at some point. There are also a few things that I watched on Netflix that I want to mention real quick that really impressed me for various reasons. Most of those reasons include great storytelling, a great production. And that doesn't mean, and that's very important to say and to stress, that does mean that I, you know, want to suggest that what I'm about to mention is something that I endorse in any way, shape, or form, because I certainly don't. But Dahmer, for instance, you know, great production. And I also enjoyed that it also paid attention to some of his victims and those families here and there. You know, that Conorex, Symphosymphones, for instance, you know, the boy from Laos, he was one of his victims. And also, you know, coinciding with that, Dahmer Monster, I think is it titled The Story of Jeffrey Dahmer? That was more of like a documentary in the literal sense of the word, whereas, of course, Dahmer in itself is a documentary series, if you will, you know. Then also the 5th season of The Crown, which I also quite liked. I would have thought that they would actually get up until, you know, the tragic passing of Diana, Lady Diana, but not yet, apparently. We'll see. Harry and Meghan I also watched. Yeah, those 6 episodes. You wouldn't think that, maybe, you know, that I would watch something like that, but I'm interested in, you know, culture and those things. So we'll see. Would you like to do reaction video to my Weidmanns Heil mashup video sometimes? What do you think? I can't promise anything, but I may tackle something like that at some point. But first of all, I of course have to make a video about Weidmanns Heil in general, because I haven't made one yet. I watched the Dahmer show too. It was focused on the victims rather than Dahmer himself, which was well done. Evan Peters did a great job. Yes. Is it Evan or Evan? Yes, I think he played it marvelously. Like, really impressive. And even though there are like a few more, how should I put it, abstract or fictional aspects in there, you know, Miss Cleveland, for instance, you know, being merged out of several real characters to one Glenna Cleveland that didn't exist like that necessarily, but they basically meshed various people and what they experienced with Dahmer back in the day as neighbors, like close neighbors and not so close neighbors. But apart from those things, you know, the whole the decline of that person, psychologically speaking, and also physically, of course, you know, mentally and everything, and his deeds, you know, the killings and everything. It's really, really, yeah, portrayed in a drastic, arguably a very drastic, but from what I can tell and what I know, real way, you know. Harry and Meghan, I'm taking a pass on that. I'm tired of hearing about it all here in England. I can imagine that, yes. But yeah. You know, I watched The Crown, like all 5 seasons, the latest one this year, of course. And I think it's a great, like a well-produced show. Also with some fiction in there, of course. I know that. But yeah, and then I thought, you know what? It's just 6 episodes. I'm gonna watch Harry and Meghan as well. And I did. However, now onto something that is way more mysterious, and it's even mentioned in the title that it is, because I'm talking about, I think it's season 16, which is ridiculous in itself, of Unsolved Mysteries. A show that I really love. It's basically similar to Beyond Belief, I think it's called in America. In German, it's called X-Faktor, das Unfassbare. Das Unfassbare. X-Faktor, das Unfassbare with Jonathan Frakes. A show that I loved watching back in the day as a kid and teen, for that matter. And Unsolved Mysteries is basically a modern, maybe a bit more serious and real-life based docuseries about mysterious and like cold cases, not really only cold cases, but also like a mixture of both like true crime, I guess, that hasn't been solved yet, but also more mysterious paranormal things thrown in there here and there, but very well produced as well. Unsolved mysteries, definitely. Then to something that I also talked about in the second to last podcast episode up to this point, episode 86, I think it is. No, 84. I think it's 84. A podcast episode featuring Get Germanized. And the both of us, we talked about a show called The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, talking about paranormal things. Very, very intriguing show. Which doesn't mean that you have to believe everything that is happening there and what people say, but it definitely is very entertaining and gives food for thought, I think. And we talked about that show. It isn't out in Germany yet, I don't think. But yeah, of course, also the last season 6 of Better Call Saul. I'm really sad on the one hand that the show has ended because I loved it. I loved Breaking Bad and everything related to it. El Camino, Better Call Saul. Some even argue that Better Call Saul is the better show in comparison to Breaking Bad. And I love them both, but there are certain differences, in style. And I like all of them for different reasons, I guess. And on the one hand, as I said before, I'm sad that it's over because I love the show. On the other hand, I think they ended it so gracefully and not in a fashion that it was boring or that didn't make sense. It was a clean cut, basically. Yeah, just awesome. Stranger Things season 4, of course, Vecna. It was also the darkest season of Stranger Things yet, the most serious one. Maybe also the most aggressive, gory one. I don't know about that necessarily, but yeah. Catching Killers season 2. John Wayne Gacy, self-portrait of a serial killer, I think it's called in English. Then maybe a hidden. It's not really a gem, It's not a masterpiece, but it's solid. It's fun, and it's not too long either. And if you like Mike Myers and his type of humor, you may also enjoy The Pentaveret, which I also watched this year, which is ridiculous, but it's. I actually enjoyed it. It was fun. Better Call Saul is on my list of shows to watch. Definitely do it. But technically you can also watch Better Call Saul if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, but I would highly suggest watching Breaking Bad first and then Better Call Saul, even though Better Call Saul is like a prequel to Breaking Bad. But sorry, before my monitors actually shut off. Even though it's a prequel to Breaking Bad, there are many characters and references made throughout the seasons of Better Call Saul that it may be better to watch Breaking Bad first. Don't have to watch El Camino first, but Breaking Bad, yeah. Then I also watched something, but those weren't like 3 more shows that I could think of from the top of my head that I watched that weren't released this year, but that I also enjoyed watching a lot, including Haunted, also like a show in which people retell paranormal phenomenons and situations they've been in at some point in their lives. The Frankenstein Chronicles I watched for the first time with Sean Bean. Also really enjoyed that. Wasn't released this year either. And Lupin, also great show. Really enjoyed that one a lot. I think it's a French production. Lupin, awesome, like the master thief, Lupin. that's basically it. I also watched a few, like 5 or 6 episodes of the anime Chainsaw Man this year, together with Get Germanized and his girlfriend Zara and our mutual friend Sergio, which is like, that anime is crazy. But what do you expect from anime? You know, on the other hand, yeah. And of course, you know, to end on a quite sad note, to be honest, but also in remembrance of them, of course, and honoring them, you know, in a way. A few people that have died this year, including today, Pelé has died. You know, Brazilian soccer player, football player. One of the most successful and well-known ones. The Queen, of course, you know. Taylor Hawkins, drummer of the Foo Fighters. That death actually affected me heavily. It was a strange day because I think it was on a Friday that he passed away, and you know, I learned about it in the early morning of the Saturday, the day afterwards. I think it was March 26th or so. And it was the day on which I was supposed to see the landlords for the first time of this flat that I just moved in this year. So it was a pretty important day because they were to decide if I would actually get the flat or not. So I was happy to meet them. You know, I was really looking forward to that on the one hand, but on the other hand, I was really down. I was really sad because of Taylor Hawkins, of course. So I don't think I've ever been so, or I've lived with such mixed emotions in such a close proximity, you know, time-wise, as on that day. It was really strange. Being both happy and, you know, hopeful and everything, but also incredibly sad on the other hand. That was strange. That was really strange, and of course it affected me a whole lot. William Hurt, Ray Liotta, died this year as well. Meatloaf, Wolfgang Petersen, very famous German director of Das Boot, The Boat, for instance, passed away this year. Robbie Coltrane, Jerry Lee Lewis. Also another death that also made me quite sad. I mean, you know, that I don't want to downplay the other deaths, of course, but I can only tell how, like, if certain deaths affected me more than others because I have a certain affinity to those people, you know, as artists or people of, like, public life, if that makes sense. So please don't get me wrong. But Christine McVie, formerly of Fleetwood Mac, that also really hit me because I love Fleetwood Mac. And yeah, that was really sad as well. And so it wasn't quite recently as well that she passed away. Mikhail Gorbachev passed away. Very important political figure also for Germany, because he basically also made way, or, you know, how should I put it? He helped making the German reunification possible as well. Aaron Carter, brother of Nick Carter, passed away. Also, Andy Fletcher of Depeche Mode. I'm gonna see them live next year, by the way. Depeche Mode, Peter Gabriel, and Porcupine Tree for a second time. Looking forward to all those shows, but of course, you know, Depeche Mode and their upcoming album, Memento Mori. Remember that you're mortal, and that you will die eventually. I'm really looking forward to it, even though, you know, it sounds strange because he's passed away, but they're a band that I highly admire, and I wonder how they can actually, or how their new music will sound like without him, you know, and how they will continue and going strong, you know. Vangelis passed away, highly acclaimed soundtrack composer and electronic musician, you know. And of course also Mark Lanigan of The Screaming Trees and Queens of the Stone Age and Solo. He had a very distinct voice, very raspy and dark, but also very, very touching as well, I think. Rest in peace to all of you and everyone else who passed away this year, of course, known or not known, publicly and internationally. Yeah. That leaves me with a few words, basically, at the end of the stream, basically, about my year on YouTube. You know? And I'm gonna open the analytics, which is basically like an internal statistics for me personally as a creator. And I haven't done that yet, so it's gonna be the first time. 2022, let's see. This year, I actually gathered or gained, you know, 757,582 views as of now. 57,231.2 hours of watch hours, which is crazy. Christy Alley, yeah, also passed away. I gained almost 7,000 subscribers, which is also awesome. Thank you so very much for everything, guys. We also, another highlight for me personally, was surpassing and reaching 50,000 subscribers this year, which to me as a creator, you know, as a public person, in that sense, sort of is a big deal. You know, it is a big deal. It's halfway to where I actually want to be at some point, if possible, which would be 100K subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, if it's possible. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm gonna keep going. And I hope that one day I may be able to hold that YouTube play button in my hands. And yeah, I've said that countless times, but it is what it is. That is my one and only goal in terms of my YouTube career, of sorts, you know, if you want to call it that. Reaching 100K subscribers. So 46K-ish subscribers to go. And yeah. Thank you very much for everything, guys. My most successful video this year, even though it wasn't released this year, was the Till Lindemann biography with 130,000 views. And after that, Rammstein Adieu, which was released quite recently, actually, in late November, the second most successful video, Rammstein Adieu, The Meaning Explained, with 26,262 views as of now. So thank you very much, guys. It really, 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 really means a lot. And I couldn't be happier about all of this. It really, really is cool. And I highly appreciate your support. Of course, also, you know, everyone, like all of you guys, for watching in the first place, you know, for taking the time. Because I know that you can take that for granted, and I certainly don't take that for granted. We all have our lives to live, of course, and we all have only so much time. And therefore, I truly appreciate you guys taking the time, every now and then at least, to watch my videos. It really, really means something. It's really humbling. I also want to thank every one of you guys for liking my videos. And for subscribing, of course, to the channel. If you haven't done that yet, feel free to do so. It's for free. And only takes a second. Activating the bell, by the way, and notifications also helps a lot to never miss out on any videos and streams. And of course, one of the most important things for, in terms of supporting a creator in general on YouTube and social media in general and other platforms is sharing their work. So a big thanks to every one of you guys who share my videos with others on social media, on and offline, in somewhat capacity. That really helps a whole lot. That is really important for the algorithm, as well as, of course, commenting, liking, and doing the YouTube stuff. That all helps a whole lot. And of course, last but certainly not least, what also really helps, get me going and being able to do this and spend as much time making these videos is the support that I have through YouTube members and on Patreon. Patreon.com/definitely. You can choose from many different tiers and receive many different awards if you want to. Awards. You can get credited in my videos, for instance. You can get early access to videos. And all of those beautiful things. So that also helps a whole lot. And as well, of course, as you can see, where is it? Down there and down here. Everyone, big thanks and shout outs to everyone who tipped me this year. It really makes a difference, as I've said before. And you can also see where that money actually goes to, the YouTube super chats. And yeah, it basically, this, like the studies that I'm mentioning here, German language studies, is basically the foundations of this channel, if you will. It basically gave me the inspiration to start this channel, in addition to, watching fellow YouTubers that I didn't know personally back in the day, including Get Germanized and Sam Waltonman, an American expert living in Germany back in the day, and his videos. I really enjoyed them a lot, and they inspired me to make this, to start this channel. Yeah, and I'm still enjoying it. I also have a few ideas for next year. I don't really want to talk about them yet, because I don't want to, how should I put it? Create expectations necessarily. But I have a few ideas that I would like to try out. I may focus more on learn German with music types of videos, even more than before, because it's the type of video that I like working on the most, including, of course, the Rammstein videos, Rammstein related, but not only Rammstein related, also explaining the German language and culture with other German artists, not just Rammstein, but also Rammstein. So, yeah. Because obviously, the Rammstein related stuff is the most successful stuff that I'm doing on this channel, by any means, it's obvious. And I'm really happy about this, because listen, I really enjoy making these videos. I love the band as well. It's not like I'm just doing it for the clicks or whatever, because that's not true. I'm basically doing all of the things, and everything that I'm doing on this channel stems from me being interested and genuinely interested in it. Otherwise, I would be, focusing on other types of content. I'm basically doing what I like to do. And if other people like it as well, that is really cool. But to be authentic, I think, as a creator, that's my opinion at least, you have to be true to yourself, and you have to do whatever you like first and foremost. Because otherwise, how can you expect other people to like what you do if you don't like it yourself? Right? That is how I see it. And luckily, I love music, as I've said before. I love Rammstein. I love helping you guys with my videos and entertaining as well. Basically a mixture of all of that, and so it's perfect for me personally. And I'm really, really happy that you guys also enjoy those videos. So thank you. Thank you very much. Call me Fat Jesus. Hi, by the way. You do a great job with these. Good luck in the new year. Looking forward to seeing more. Thank you very much for saying that. Also, thanks for your support as well. I highly, highly appreciate that. And I think that's it. Yeah, gonna wrap it up for this year. Not just for this stream, but also for this year. Looking forward to working on new videos in January, because I'm taking the last few days of the month off in terms of YouTube work. A little break, because I think that is also something that is important as a creator, to sometimes step back a little bit and get out of the machinery of sorts, you know. I really enjoy making videos, filming them, editing them. You know, there are many creators, I think, or I guess, that aren't really fond of those things, that really enjoy putting out the finished product, the finished content, but they don't really enjoy making it necessarily. I could be wrong, but I guess there are many people that don't like that quite a lot. I do. So I don't really have to force myself to make new videos and everything. Quite the opposite, I like it. But still, I think a few days off every now and then are quite beneficial for the whole thing, you know, to get a fresh perspective on things. And I tried to do that in this month especially. But I'm gonna be back soon with new videos for you guys. Don't worry. Looking forward to that. Coding Beast, well done, he says, and or they say, and thank you for this year. Yeah, thank you guys. Let's not lose hope. Of course, there are many things that are really difficult at the moment for many different people, for many different reasons. We all know those things. And I'm hoping that things can resolve in a good way, a good outcome, without violence, without, you know, hatred and those things, and that facts and truth shall prevail in a way at the end of the day. Yeah. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching, everyone, and once again, thanks for everything. Highly appreciated from the bottom of my German heart. Happy New Year, of course, you know, get well into the new year, however you celebrate it, with friends, with family, alone, if you don't celebrate it at all. Enjoy the rest of this year, the rest of the days, you know, of 2022, and have a great year 2023, you know, looking forward to that as well. And to say it in German, guten Rutsch, a good slide into the new year, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'm definitely Dave. And definitely gonna see you next month and next year, hopefully. Thanks for watching. And, well, all that is left for me to say is Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal. Prost to you guys. Bye-bye.